Hey everybody, I got what name? What name? Come on, give me a name.
Lauren.
All right, we got Lauren here, and Lauren is an activist for people that are in the Texas prison system, and she has been watching very closely the effects of COVID-19 within the prison system, and so she wanted to get some publicity, get a little light on the subject. So I offered to have her on and do a quick interview for you guys. So, Lauren, give us just a little bit of background about yourself and how you kind of came to be involved in, activism. I always tell people activists aren't born; they're created. So, how did you get created?
Um, it's affected me personally, not myself being incarcerated, but through friends or family kind of situations. That's usually how most people, either they're incarcerated themselves or they have a loved one who's incarcerated. And that's usually how people learn about this. The general consensus is that the government is doing what's best for us, and they take the bad guys off the streets and they lock them away so they can't hurt us, and that's really not the truth, and it's really not what's going on. Um, we have millions of people in this country locked in cages, and now there's a pandemic added to that equation, and people are dying really fast.
And is TDC being forthcoming with information about um, prisoners that are dying from COVID, or are they skewing the results and trying to hide it and keep it quiet?
Well, okay, so they have something on the website where it's like a COVID update, daily update, if you will, and so their numbers change, and it shows what unit they're changing on. You can look by unit. They even post like little obituaries about the inmates who passed. They put their name, their age, how long they had served on, how long of a sentence, and what unit they were in. Um, but it also has, like at the bottom, it has the totals, which the amount of positives that they've had is, the last time I checked, it was over 15,000. Um, the death toll is up to over 100 now. But they always have so many pending. It says under investigation. Well, what investigation is there? If these people pass and either you didn't know that they had COVID and they were severely ill and you didn't think to check them for COVID, or you knew, but there's another reason why you're not releasing that information. So, yeah.
Is TDC isolating units that are having a lot of COVID cases come up? Do you know? Are they still transferring people around and possibly spreading the disease, or
They
yes?
are transferring. There for a little while, they said they weren't. They stopped. They stopped intake from county jails, um, and then they decided here about a month ago, I believe, to restart the transfer process. And so they've started the intake process. They've started transferring again, and now those numbers are picking up. Well, you've got to think about the way a prison is laid out. There's not much room, and so people aren't generally in. It's not everybody in a single cell by themselves. It's it's usually a dorm setting, um, unless you're in like segregation area, and then you will have your own cell. Um, but the dorm setting is a wide open room with little cubicle areas, and you can reach out and touch your neighbor if you spread your arm out.
Well, and it depends on your custody level. Some
Right.
other, if you're like medium custody, they're going to have individual cells, but they'll have a big cell block, kind of like what you see on TV. But the cells in TDC, unless you're on one of the older units, are a little bit bigger. They're like 12 by 12 or something like that, and two men occupy a cell. But
Mhm.
on some of the older units, The cells are literally 6 by 10, 6 by 12, something like that. They're little bitty cells, and you pack a couple people in there, and they're literally right on top of each other. So I mean, it's not conducive to a healthy living conditions. If one person's got it, it's going to spread, and it's going to spread quick. So
Well, and then
anything that's
what they
communicable.
do too, yeah, yeah. And what they do after, okay, so let's say that somebody is either presenting symptoms or whatever the case is, and they decide that they're going to be tested for COVID. Okay, so they'll have an area that's quarantined, and they put all positive cases in the area that's quarantined. Well, if you get tested, you're going to be quarantined with the rest of the positives, regardless of if you're positive or negative until your test result comes back. So you're gonna have it, whether you test negative or positive. Either way.
Uh, and I said this early on. I said that the populations that would be most devastated by this would be the homeless population, because they have such a hard time getting health care, and the people in the jails and prisons, because they have such a hard time getting health care.
Right.
And I've heard stories about some of the units are not letting their staff go home, that they're putting them up in motels and hotels and stuff like that to kind of isolate them, so that they don't bring it into the unit. Have you heard stuff like that as well?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely have.
Okay.
Some of the other activists have vouched for that. They've actually seen it firsthand. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing. It probably doesn't hurt. I mean, but
Right.
I would rather see them spending the money that they're spending on that, getting health care to these guys that are locked up.
Mhm.
It just, it's unfortunate. It's bad enough to be in prison. It's bad enough to be in
Sorry about
prison,
that.
but to be in prison and not be able to get health care is just crazy. Or to have to wait a week or 10 days to get to see a healthcare provider, which is often the case. So, it is what it is. Do you need to pause for a minute? Looks like you got a helper there. Okay, so there's an upcoming rally. A lot of people don't realize that Texas prisons are not air conditioned. Not only do prisoners in Texas not get paid money for working, okay, but there's no air conditioning in most of the units. Now, some of the state jails, which are all dormitories, enclosed buildings that have dormitories, do have air conditioning. But the vast majority, probably 98% of the prisons are not air conditioned. And a lot of people don't realize that. And with the summer heat, the way it's getting, I mean, summers are getting hotter. We're setting records almost daily here where I'm at, and Texas is hot. And a lot of our prison units are built in the hotter parts of the state. So you're associated with a group that is trying to get air conditioning into the prison system?
Yes, and they have been for a couple years now. I don't think that they're the only ones who have tried, but that's their main goal, and it has been for quite a while. They were told that it would take 1.2 billion to install AC, and so they went through and they found the funding, and they had it all planned out, and it basically fell through. The bill fell through. But they're not giving up. They're a great group.
That's good. That's good. The I wonder how many people die from heat exhaustion in Texas prisons. And I know it happens everywhere, but we're specifically focused on Texas because we're in Texas. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not discounting Louisiana or wherever else, okay? But we're talking about Texas because that's where we're at. But I wonder, do you have any statistics on how many people die in Texas prisons every year from heat
They
exhaustion?
they won't
Does the
have
state?
them at the rally, but there is, like, one of my close friends. She was formerly incarcerated, and she told me, and she wasn't incarcerated terribly long ago, and it wasn't TDC. And she said that one summer there were seven women that died that summer, just rolled out with white sheets over them, just from
Wow.
the heat.
Wow.
Hmm.
And that's just the women's unit, which is takes up a small percentage. I mean, the Texas prison system is probably 80% male, so that, I'm going to dig. I'm going to try and see if I can find some numbers on that. If they don't have them there at the rally. And when is the rally? What day?
It's going to be August 22nd. It's going to be from 1 to 5 p.m. And it's going to be at Rather Park. There's a little area, a little platform that they set up the farmers markets and stuff like that. And so we'll have a hot box set up there, and it's a mock cell. And so it will get to the temperature that a typical cell reaches during the summer. And we give a few minute tour through it, and you get to experience what it's like. We will have social distancing. It's mask required. We're going to have people checking temperatures and things like that. So
You have people checking temperatures when it's 100 degrees outside. Okay, good luck with that.
yes.
But that's going to be in Huntsville, up there near the Walls unit, right? That park is near the Walls unit. Okay. Yeah, I won't.
Yes.
That's on the 22nd.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll be in I'm going to Los Angeles on the 20th, the 21st, and I come back the afternoon of the 22nd, so I won't be able to make it. But it's going to be in Huntsville. I will get a copy of the poster and put it up for everybody to see, so that they'll know how to find it and everything. But that park, if I'm not mistaken, that park is on TDC property, isn't it?
It's not on their property. It's close, but it's not on their property.
Okay.
But the woman she's spearheading this, she got permission from the city officials. She called to make sure they didn't need a permit for the box.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Good deal.
So she got permission. Yeah.
Good deal, because I know I would be surprised if TDC would ever allow something like that. Even though getting air conditioning in the prisons helps the guards too, because it is miserable for them just as much as the inmates, if not more, because a lot of those guards, they wear heavy uniforms and stuff. So I'm sure that they would be. Yeah, I'm sure they would be all for having air conditioning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That might be something that the guards could actually get behind with everybody else.
We were hoping so. We were hoping.
Well, we'll see.
You never know.
Hey, a hot box. I think that hot box is, the mock cell is a great idea. Give people a taste of what it's actually like. And is it built to scale? Do you know?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so they'll get an idea. And is it to scale to the new units or to the old units? Is it?
I think it's the new units.
Okay, if it's a new unit, it's going to be like 10 by 10 or something like that. If it's an old unit, it's like 6 by 10.
I think it's the new units, but I can double check after this.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I mean, the new units, the old units, they're all concrete and steel, which when you put sunlight on it gets hot, and it doesn't cool down. Even when the sun goes down, that heat continues to radiate, till 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night before it finally cools down. And then here comes the sun at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and it just the process starts all over.
Well, breakfast, chow is around at 2:30 a.m. most of the time. And so for most units, anyways, from what I understand.
It varies by unit. I know that. It's somewhere between 2:30 and 4 o'clock. It just depends on the unit. But yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add? Anything you can think of?
I hope to see y'all there. I really hope that maybe this can shed a little bit of light on the subject. There's a tremendous amount of people that are eligible and approved for parole already that haven't been released. We've been pushing and pushing with no answers. People are dying. People are sweating, dying from the heat too. So hopefully we can get something done.
We'll do another meeting, because you were publishing some stuff about all the people that are eligible for parole and have been approved and everything and just haven't been released yet. And we'll do another interview about that, because that's going to be something we need to get into in depth, and because that is just ridiculous that people are approved and they're just holding on to them, to get that federal funding. And while I'm thinking about it, I've got a pair of pliers. I think I can get that thing. I can get that thing off of you.
All right, all
All
right.
right, all right. Thank you for popping on and spending time. And
Thank you for having me.
I hope you guys get a good turnout. I also want you to connect me with the guy that built that cell. Let me do an interview with him at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll get some input from him because he did like 20 years in TDC, wasn't it?
Well, okay, so he's going to be there as a speaker. The ladies who actually had the cell built, they weren't incarcerated. They're advocates, and
Okay.
they run a big group and do the legislative and things like that end of it. And he did the one with the he's got his own cell. It's different, but he goes live from his cell, and so he's giving people a look inside of that life. And
I
he
think
did
that's
30
great.
years.
I think that's great. That's what people need. They need to see what's going on, so that they'll understand. And
Yeah.
a lot of you got to remember, and I'm knowing we're going to have comments about this. Oh, people in prison deserve to be there. That's not necessarily true. Remember, Harris County. Think of the go and research the Texas Innocence Project and how many people and this is just a small percentage of people that they have been able to get out of jail because evidence was hidden because prosecutors
Right.
got false convictions on them. Happens all the time. So don't tell me
Right.
that people deserve to be there because not everybody does. So,
Right.
all right. Well, thank you, Lauren. And
Thank
like I said,
you.
I wish I could make it, but I can't. But I look forward to having a chance to chat with you again and get you to connect me with some of these other people and let's get some light on the subject.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.